Give me more, give me more, give me more. Good morning, YouTube. What's up, everybody? I hope you're safe and healthy and happy and doing okay. And extra points if you got the reference in my intro. Today we have a full review of a shoe that intimidated me before I tried it, and I have to admit I didn't really want to try it. But like you guys might do, I watched videos on it from other YouTubers and I gave it a shot, and I'm glad I did because I have to say I really am digging the New Balance More V3. New Balance Fresh Foam More V3. That's the real name. I have been doing a ton of work in this shoe. I'm pretty sure it has well over 50 miles, but I got kind of lazy and stopped counting. But I'm sure it has at least 50, and I wouldn't be surprised if we've upped that a bit and we're probably more at like 60. So now that we're ready for full review, I figured I'd give it a full review. But first, of course, you have to sit through the running montage. Come on, you always have to do that. It's part of the experience. And then we'll talk all about my full review of the New Balance Fresh Foam More V3. Unfamiliar with how I structure my full reviews, let me give you a rundown. First, we're going to start with the specs, then we're going to talk about the upper, the midsole, the outsole, the price of the shoe, and then my overall conclusion on the shoe. And the conclusion is where I also rate it out of 5 stars. So if it's the best shoe I've ever worn and I never want to take it off my foot, it's going to be 5 stars. And if it's the worst shoe I've ever worn, then I'm going to give it 1 star. But I gotta be honest, I probably wouldn't take a shoe that I hated that much to 50 miles. But you never know. Then at the end, I'll throw up a screen with the pros and the cons so you can get a visual idea of what I liked and what I disliked. We're not gonna go over every single detail of the shoe. That was really more of what I do in my first run impressions that you can watch right here. But we are gonna go over kind of what I liked, what I disliked, and what held up, maybe what didn't. And finally, I do wanna let you know that this shoe, this big old blue shoe, was sent to me by Running Warehouse and New Balance. However, neither company is gonna see this before you. They can't tell me what to say, and all of my opinions are always my own. The New Balance Fresh Foam More V3 is 8.8 ounces for a women's size 8, but for my size 10.5 women's, this shoe came in at 10.1 ounces. It has a 4mm drop with 38 millimeters of stack in the heel and 34 in the forefoot. And for me, the New Balance Fresh Foam More V3 is true to size. This shoe's upper is a little bit chunky and it's a little bit warm, which wasn't so great in the hotter months when I did my first run impressions on this shoe, but now in the winter months, it's great and I really enjoy it. So really just gonna be a personal preference of what kind of upper you like, or what kind of season, temperature kind of thing you're normally running in. But for me right now, the upper does feel pretty good in that department. And it's soft. The material they use here is very forgiving, and especially something that I've noticed is that the tongue of this shoe, while it's not gusseted, it's very plush. So it sits on the top of your foot so nice and just gives you such a pleasant feeling, which is exactly what you need in a shoe like this, an easy day running shoe. One thing I did mention in the first run impressions of this shoe is that I have a normal amount of length in the toe box, so plenty of room. I'm not crunched up in there, and I'm certainly not crunched up because this shoe is pretty wide, I feel, in the toe box. I have a narrow foot. I know I always say that, but just to give you guys an idea, I did find this shoe a little bit wide for me in the midfoot and a teeny bit in the toe box. I ended up not really having a problem with that, and having some extra room in that toe box is nice sometimes. But I do want to flag that in case you have a super narrow foot, you might need to cinch these laces down a little bit. And if you have a wide foot, you might love this. I don't know. I quite enjoy the way this shoe feels on my foot. I haven't had any issues with blisters or irritation. It's held up well over the course of 50 plus miles. The upper really suits what this shoe is meant for, which is going long, going easy, and just being a super plush, comfortable shoe. If I had to make one critique about this upper, I would say that aesthetically it's a little archaic looking. I think just the material I guess they used and this like stitching here reminds me of maybe like an older kind of shoe from years ago. And I also don't really love the way it looks as a whole, and with my big foot it makes me look like a Muppet pretty much. But that's just a cosmetic thing and it has nothing to do with how this shoe feels. Other than that, I really don't have too much to say about the upper other than I really like it and it feels fantastic on my foot. There is no lack of plush feeling here in the More V3. I mean, it's in the name, More. But what I like about it is that it's not just a flat slab of foam that's just gonna weigh you down and feel pretty dead. They've incorporated a rocker geometry here that really helps to get you on your toes, even in easy miles, and it just makes the run feel that much easier. This shoe has been my go-to for easy days where I don't care about pace and I just want to log some miles because it's just so comfortable under my foot, and I really do appreciate that rocker sensation. I do think that maybe with 50 plus miles on it, the midsole has compressed just a bit, but it hasn't really been a negative thing. It honestly just makes the rocker feel a bit more present, which I haven't had a problem with. I'm not really calling it a negative, but I don't know what it's gonna feel like, you know, with another 50 miles. Go to Kofuzi's page, I'm sure he has a 100-mile review somewhere, or he will. The other fun thing about this shoe is that while it's meant for easy days, you can kind of pick up the pace a little bit, if you know what I'm saying. I have done that on a couple runs where I've done some like strides, I guess you could say, but I just really just pick up the pace a little bit, go more into a tempo mode, and the shoe does well. It's not made for that. Wouldn't recommend that this being like a tempo day shoe for you, but if you're in the mood to just take it up a notch in your easy day run one day, then I think that the shoe can handle that. If you're a person who is looking for a marathon day shoe and you don't want a plate, you don't care about that, you just want to be comfortable, then I would absolutely recommend this shoe to you right here, because I think that this could absolutely be used for marathon distance and above. Way above. I know that some people might be put off by a 4mm drop, and I do understand that. I really prefer like a 5 and above. But I have to say, as somebody who has gotten some like calf pain before from lower drop shoes, I don't have that here, and I just think it's because of all of this cushion that your foot is sitting on. And another thing that I want to point out about this shoe that I really like is that it has a pretty wide platform here. So for people like me who overpronate, I feel like a broken record when I say this, but want to be in a neutral shoe, I think that this could be a decent option because of that wide platform. It helps to prevent your foot from going too much inward and too much outward. If I had to find a critique about the midsole, I would say that it's not like the most exciting foam. It feels good, it feels plush, but all of this foam here doesn't quite feel like something like, I don't know, the Nike Zoom X Invincible. It's not going to feel quite as bouncy and responsive as that. This is not a very responsive shoe, and it really gets all the help from that rocker. I think that my opinion of this shoe would be a lot different if it didn't have that rocker tech. Just something to point out. Overall, midsole's great. This rubber is wearing a bit, but it's not too bad. Where I'm seeing the most wear really is like right in here. That being said though, despite some wear here, I haven't had any problems with traction. I have taken this on some wetter days, and on those days it has performed fine, and on regular days as well, normal weather, performs fine, grips onto surfaces with ease, and hasn't given me any trouble. So that is something to think about, but I did want to point out that I am seeing a little bit of wear here. This shoe is kind of expensive. This is $164.95 on runningwarehouse.com, which I think is a little too much money, but you are gonna get a lot of shoe here. If you don't care about price and you're a millionaire and you just wanna buy this shoe anyway, well, I'll have a link in the description of this video. You can click that and pick up your own pair. Keep in mind that is an affiliate link with Running Warehouse. However, it doesn't mean much for you. It just helps out my channel so I can try out these big old blue shoes and tell you how much I like them, even though I look like a Muppet when I wear them. In conclusion, I think that this shoe does exactly what it's supposed to, and I think it exceeds expectations. So for that, I'm giving the Fresh Foam More V3 4 out of 5 stars. 4 out of 5 is a pretty good score, and I know you guys are gonna say, but you always give a 4 out of 5. Well, it's because I like a lot of shoes, okay? All right, now let's throw up a screen with the pros and the cons. For pros, I have the comfy upper, the comfy midsole, the rocker tech in that midsole, the wide platform this shoe sits on, and that it can do more than just easy pace. For cons, I have that the upper is kind of old looking, the midsole wouldn't be quite as exciting without that rocker, the outsole durability, and for some of you, might be price. Probably one of my favorite shoes of 2021. Had to think about that for a second. It is 2021, right? And like I also said at the beginning of this video, I'm glad that I watched other YouTube videos and gave this shoe a shot because I wasn't originally going to pick this up. Looked a little scary, a little ugly, a little big. And I was kind of like, eh. But now I'm like, woohoo! So there you have it. Well, everyone, that concludes my full review of the New Balance Fresh Foam More V3. If you enjoyed this video, please like it down below and subscribe. And when you're done with all that, hit the notifications bell so you can find out every time I upload a new video. When I wear this, I look like Grover, you know, like Grover from Sesame Street, I think. I have some more videos for you next week, but in the meantime, get out there, get on the grind, and don't forget to run like Heller. See you next time.